to the skin. And the trick to doing this is to not try to cut too much at one time. Just cut thin ribbons. And I don't even mind leaving a few of the little brown circles on there. But just go around, trim that off. Okay. And put those in the compost. And then cut it lengthwise down the middle into quarters. Okay. Then you pull the quarters apart, and you can cut the core out just by going down like that. And usually the cores are pretty soft and chewable, so a lot of times I'll just chew on them. And that one's soft enough you can actually eat it. So you cut the cores out. Always helps to have a sharp knife. And then once you got those out, I usually just cut it into large chunks for the blender. And what I do is, you want to put enough pineapple in there that it has a good pineapple flavor, but you also want to have plenty of water so that it's not a smoothie, it's watery. And so with maybe, a cup and a half, 2 cups of pineapple, I would put about twice as much water in there. Okay. And then very simply, you just blend it and you drink it. And it's watery, but it has a wonderful flavor. And especially if you're going to go out doing yard work or exercising or something like that, you can drink this before and you can drink it afterwards. So let's blend it up. Okay. And what happens is it gets really nice and foamy and frothy. It grows in volume, and that is so nice. It's nice and creamy. It's just really wonderful. And, you do that. It's great. And you can use other types of fruit. Basically, just use a lot of water, a little bit of fruit. It's awesome. One of my favorite salad dressings, and the one that I make the most and most often because it's so easy to do, is what I call a Mediterranean dressing. And it's very common in the Mediterranean for people to just squeeze a little lemon juice or lime juice over a salad with a little good quality olive oil and a little salt and pepper. And that is the recipe. It's very simple to do. Basically just take either a lemon or a lime, and I prefer limes. Just cut one in half. You've got your salad. Just take a fork, stick it in the lemon or the lime half, and just squeeze and twist. And you can spread the lemon juice around on the salad. And you don't need a whole lot of lemon juice. Actually, the oil and the salt and pepper give it most of the flavor. And I like using olive oil, but you can also use a good quality cold-pressed organic sunflower oil. That's a little bit lighter than olive if you want something different than olive. There's all kinds of incredible raw oils that you can buy, different brands of olive oils, but the oil really makes it. And it's important when doing this to use a good olive oil. So after the lemon juice, I use, and what we have here is we've got whole unrefined Celtic salt. This is a gray salt. It's gray and it's a little bit damp. The grayness is the minerals in it. And the dampness comes from it being harvested by hand and sun-dried, so it's still got a little moisture in it. But I like using Himalayan crystal salt. This is actually a little bit pink, and it's a whole unrefined salt. It's got a lot of minerals in it. And a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Sprinkle a little bit of black pepper around there. And then I put the olive oil on. And then just toss it. And it's just extremely easy to do. It has a wonderful flavor. And that's what I do. It's so easy, and that's it. All right, let's make a Lebanese dressing now. This is a really tasty, wonderful dressing inspired from an old Greek friend of mine. Just take half a lemon, and I'm going to knock out some of the seeds. Actually, there's not many seeds in this one, and I just juice it with a fork. Normally, when I'm juicing lemons, a half lemon or a whole lemon, I'll just use a fork like this instead of a citrus juicer. If I was doing a whole bunch of these, maybe I might plenty of it. And I just juice it, and then I'll take the fork and scrape the pulp into the bowl, like so. Compost the rind, and then I just take the seeds out with a fork, compost them. Okay, and then I'll take a quarter cup of water, pour that in, and then we'll take 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. So I'm going to grab a little bit of parsley, and we'll chop it up. And when you're chopping, just use a rocking motion with a flat blade knife or a rounded blade knife. And I keep my fingers straight down so they don't get underneath the parsley. And then I can use this technique for chopping things fine. Just put your fingers at the end of the knife, and you can chop very finely, very quickly. Now clean the sides of the knife off. That looks pretty good. I'll take 2 tablespoons of that. Where's my tablespoon? Let me get a tablespoon. There's 1. And there's 2. Okay. Then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of fresh mint. And this is spearmint. Peppermint's too strong. We want 2 tablespoons of that after it's chopped. And I'm going to pull the leaves off the stem. I'll compost that. There we go. I think we're going to do a little bit more than that. Okay. I'll give it a choppy. And you really need to use fresh herbs with this. If you're using dried herbs, it's just not going to have the same flavor. And of course, it's not going to have the same nutrition, and it's not going to have the enzymes, and it's going to lose some of the nutrients and chemicals. So this dressing, and any dressing really, I think it's best to use fresh herbs, fresh ingredients. Okay, so we have 2 tablespoons of mint. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to use 1 clove of garlic chopped. And, okay. So, all right. Same type of chopping. Chopping. Now you could use a garlic press, and actually that's easier if you've got a garlic press. Those are wonderful. You stick the clove in there and squish it out. It's much faster. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I like to chop it for the texture. Mince the garlic. Okay. So there's 1 clove of garlic. Load it up on the knife, load it into the bowl. Alrighty, now we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of raw organic tahini. And this is, you can get this in health food stores. It's actually raw. It's unheated, untreated, uncooked. And it's nice and thick. This is a wonderful flavor. It's also, it gives you oil for the dressing, and it thickens it up. I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of organic cold-pressed sunflower oil. Excuse me. You can also use olive oil if you want to. Let me get my Sunflower oil. Or you could use safflower oil. For this dressing, I like a lighter taste, so I use sunflower oil. Spoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to leave the spoon in that bowl. And we're going to throw in a teaspoon of whole unrefined salt. In this case, this is Himalayan crystal salt. There's a teaspoon. Okay. And we're going to use a spice, a Middle Eastern spice called sumac. It's a red spice. It's not the same as sumac that they sell in the United States for making tea with, like a lemonade flavored tea. This is a Middle Eastern spice called sumac. It's got a beautiful dark amber color, or not amber, but red color, a burgundy color, and it's got a kind of a salty taste to it. It's got its own unique flavor. You can get this in Middle Eastern stores. It's a really wonderful spice. We're going to use a teaspoon of that. We're going to put in we're going to use a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Okay. Down like that. Okay. And then we're just going to stir it up. Oh. Get that tahini mixed up, get all the oils mixed up. And it's got a nice kind of a reddish-green mixture of colors. It's really wonderful. And you just pour it over a salad. It's wonderful. Now, if you like French dressing, you're in luck, because I have a French dressing recipe, and this is it. You start with one medium tomato, just cut it up, throw it in the food processor. And take a green onion and chop it up into small pieces, just to get it into the food processor. All right, and then we're going to take 2 tablespoons of chopped mint, and I'm just going to chop it up roughly. Okay, that looks like about 2 tablespoons right there. All right, 2 tablespoons of mint, and we're going to take 2 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of this, juice it up into a little bowl, and I always like scraping the pulp into the juice. Yeah, 2 tablespoons. There's 1, 2. Alrighty, then we're going to take a tablespoon of plain old organic yellow mustard. This is not Dijon, and it's not anything fancy. It's just plain organic mustard. You can use Dijon or something else if you like. And we're going to call that a tablespoon. Alright, we're going to throw in a clove of garlic. And we're going to throw in a tablespoon. Let me get a clean spoon. We're going to throw in a tablespoon